Hello, welcome back to Rudiano's office, where we're gonna be attempting to tackle this plague that is emptiness. It's running rampant in the world nowadays. There's been some studies conducted regarding that. And from this study, one of those studies, I will take a definition of emptiness. It's the definition by the National Library of Medicine in the US, and it's describing emptiness as follows: a feeling that one is going through life mechanically, devoid of emotions and purpose, and therefore is empty inside, with emptiness often being bodily felt in the form of a discomfort in the chest. This is coupled with feelings that one is disconnected from others, in some way invisible to others, and unable to contribute to a world that remains the same, but from which one is distant and detached. So much to unpack here. We're going to be coming back on some of the expressions there, like mechanically, going through life mechanically, without purpose, feeling disconnected from others, invisible to others, distant and detached. I'd argue that it's possibly not by design, but the way society functions is the reason why we've got this emptiness epidemic. I was reading this book by this psychotherapist, Rollo May, Man's Search for Himself. Now, although this was written published first in 1953, some of the things that Rollo May uncovers are so relevant, and he was noticing a change that was happening in the 20th century, but it's even more relevant in the 21st century. It's become even more apparent, more dramatic in the 21st century, just carried on in the same direction. Like, for example, so he's talking about the 20th century, published in 1953, but he says, the chief problem of the 20th century is emptiness. Not being able to decide on marriage, vocation, feeling unhappy are just symptoms. People don't really know what they want or how they feel. Your run-of-the-mill normal hero in entertainment was a John Wayne in the Western. And what's a typical John Wayne? John Wayne was a lone cowboy with strong internal values, a tough man, knew what he wanted, driven, sometimes inflexible, sometimes a bit too much, but he carved his own path. He charted his own course in life. Fast forward to the 20th century and the 21st century, we all part of the community. And in fact, he said that instead of having this strong moral compass and sense of identity, in the 20th century, the typical person could be encapsulated in this saying: I'm just a collection of mirrors reflecting what everyone else expects of me. And it carries on. This age is characterized by passivity, apathy, mechanical routines, boredom. And what would be the results? If you're in a regimented, mechanical, boring routine, what do you feel the urge to do? Escape. Once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times a year if you can, you feel the need to go out, to let off steam, break the routine, because your brain needs some novelty, some stimulation that you can't get in a regimented, same routine, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. Makes sense? So emptiness, a symptom of this routine that has to be broken. Let's come back to the definition. It did say devoid of emotions and purpose. Rollo said that in 1953. More relevant today, more true today. Carrying on. So, disconnected from others, some way invisible to others, and then you'd feel empty. So what do we do nowadays? We're in the internet age, digital age, social media age. So what do? We have all those online communities that we can tag along with. The problem is that some of those communities, they're causing more harm than good. In what sense? Well, at the top of those communities, sometimes there's leaders that are there for personal gain, power, influence, rather than the greater good. And even if they're not like that, very often what can happen with a community, an online community, or a community, any community for that matter, is that if we are now in the moral relativism age, which is characterized by as many people there are on earth, there's as many concepts of what's right and what's wrong. That means that there's no consensus. And that means that there's confusion, and there can be clashes, and there can be shifts. The pendulum swings widely. Today, this concept or idea or behavior is acceptable. Tomorrow, it's forbidden. That's not very good for the psyche. There's no continuity. There's no consistency. Anything can change overnight. So, wherever you're leaning, you can find a community, and then unfortunately, become siloed and have your vision maybe skewed because you're just in this community, and you can even end up radicalized, and further isolated, because in fact that's a tactic that those communities can have. If the leaders are nefarious, they can use that to manufacture isolation, make you ditch your family and your friends so that they can have more control over you. We all have a need to belong, but it can be exploited that way. Being empty is dangerous. So what's the solution? Is there a solution? Well, I would argue that, I don't know if you are, whoever you watching this, you might be, you might not, but in the West, most of the societies are Judeo-Christian societies. The foundation is the law in the Bible. Do not lie, do not cheat, do not murder, do not kill. All of these are from the Bible and are the foundation of the justice system. The thing is that with time and with secularism, we've moved away from this foundation, and we've extrapolated on it and changed a few things. But I'd argue that we need to go back to some of the foundational things, like being honest and being altruistic and having people's welfare in mind when we do things, rather than just what we selfishly want. Trying to benefit the greater good rather than just ourselves. That would be a good place to start. But somehow I don't see that happening. We can only do that individually, one person at a time. Now let's go back to the definition. Because we are not moving away from the industrial age model, even though we are now in the digital age, all of this regimented 9 to 5 and all the rest of the school system are basically training us to be invisible. Well, when I was in the corporate world, that was an idea that was very prevalent, because it was like, if you stand out, your head's gonna get chopped off. So yeah, the idea is you can't really be yourself. You have to be invisible, and there's value in being invisible. Problem is, for some people it works, for some it doesn't. So when it doesn't, what do? We have to find purpose. We have to find meaning somewhere. And in fact, what is society really? Society is a way to manage and control the greater number so that things are functioning well enough. The purpose of society is not to help you to thrive. That's your own responsibility. It has no interest in you personally. It only has interest in the greater number, in what is happening globally, and well, someone could argue as well what they can get from the greater number as well. But that's another theme for another video. So what to do to find meaning and find purpose and find joy? Well, sometimes you need to reconnect to what we used to do, maybe when we were younger, in our childhood, or in our early adulthood, maybe. Was there a project? Was there a hobby? Was there an interest that really lighted us up, or lighted us up at the time, and that we have forgotten, so that we could go with the flow, so that we could blend in, so that we could do what we're supposed to do, but in the same vein started to die a little bit. Let's reconnect with that, and maybe, if we're fortunate, make it a lifestyle, make it how we earn our living. But even if we don't get to that stage, do more of what lights us up, do more of what is meaningful, and just do our day job for the bills. That would be my solution. Well, I hope you find it somewhat, at least, helpful. That's it for today. Ciao.